What's up, my people? Bless up on yourself and I hope you have a great day today and the rest of the week. Yeah, man. So right now we have the Prime Minister speech. You see me? And we have the opposition leader speech at Kimesha Funeral service. You understand, people? Yeah, man. Now we have a next thing here. So we have L.A. Lewis get interviewed by the Observer and the Cleaner Company. And him say, boy, man, put out a lawsuit or a restricted order pan Babsy Grange. So people, check out that one hot. Bless up on yourself.
Full attention. Agree? Agree. First, let me acknowledge the platform and acknowledge the masterful conduct of the ceremony by Bishop Rowan Edwards and his team. I was in the airport in, I believe it was Gatwick, heading to Rwanda when we got the terrible news of 5 persons being killed. At first we thought it was 4 because they couldn't find 1 person. And then later on the full story came out. It was such a tragic incident. My heart wept. My spirit fell. How could this happen in my land? And I'm certain that that is how all of you here gathered feel. And in fact, one of the reasons why you're here is to come to grips with this feeling and to3 decades ago, Rwanda experienced a genocide. And a genocide is when a segment of the population of a country uses systematic violence to eliminate another segment of the population. Meaning violence on an industrial scale. Meaning that a group or the state itself organizes itself in such a way as to eliminate a segment of the population. And that happened in Rwanda. I went to Rwanda and I visited their museum. And I looked at their history and the process that they went through to deal with this genocide that ripped the country apart. Essentially, there are 2 main ethnic groups in Rwanda. And the differences between them ran deep to the point where neighbor killed neighbor. Family member kill family member.
Sure.
Today Rwanda is a peaceful country. In fact, very peaceful. And if you were to compare the murder rate in Jamaica to the murder rate in Rwanda, you know, there's really no comparison. Our murder rate would be several times the percentage of the murder rate in Rwanda. And so the question is, how did a country where violence was to the level of organization where it was carried out in a structured way against a segment of the population, how did that country resolve? How did that country come to grips? And how did it effectively treat with violence? I'm going to give you some answers shortly. But one of the things I would say right up front is that they recognized that they had a problem. They recognized that violence was a disease. And it is a disease pretty much like any other disease. It can infect people. And it is passed on from generation to generation because the use of violence in the genocide was something that was brewing for close to 100 years. In Jamaica's history, as we are gathered here today to celebrate an important day in our history, note, today we are celebrating Emancipation Day, the end of slavery. And what was the main feature of slavery? It was the taking away of your freedom. And how was that done? By the systematic use of a process of violence. A systematic use of a process of violence to keep you subdued in chains and to extract your labor without pay.
True.
It was used on us, your family members, because you could trace right back to the plantations. And on Emancipation Day, we are gathered here where we should be celebrating our freedom.
True.
To put to rest 5 innocent Jamaicans
True, sir.
who was killed viciously, yes, viciously. But they were killed out of an inability of the killer to resolve conflict peacefully. I want you to follow what I'm saying. Violence was used on us in slavery. It infected us to the point where after slavery, we did not engage in any process of coming to grips with this violence. And so it passed on from generations to generations to generations. Until now, it is so ingrained in how we think that if a man steps on the toe, your first reaction is going to be violence. We use violence in how we bring up our children. I listened to Dr. Brennan very carefully. And I'm in, not necessarily a chapel I don't know how, but for the purposes, it is a chapel now. And his admonition is the biblical admonition. We must spare the rod or else we're going to spoil the child. And I know a lot of you are going to say that's right. But I stand here and tell you that's wrong. Remember what I said earlier? The first step in coming to grips with this thing is to acknowledge that we have a problem. It is a cultural problem. We respond with violence without thinking. Kenya, an African country like us, many shared beliefs, recently took a very enlightened and positive step. You know what they did? They banned corporal punishment. Yes. They banned it. Why? Why? Because they recognize that when we use violence to bring up our children, to discipline our children, what we are doing is saying to our children that if you do something wrong, the only way to correct it is through violence. If we're going to change, then these are some of the things about our society, the uncomfortable truths that I, as your leader, have to say to you. Talk to you like family and tell you. Difficult as it may sound, I will never bring up this boy picture without truthfully for them. But there are other means and other methods which other societies have been using for decades and centuries, and they don't have the level of violence that we have. We use violence in our intimate relations. I know a lot of women suffer under this foolish notion that it beat you up because you love you. Alive, sir?
Alive.
We have to change that mentality and that culture.
Yeah.
No man was supposed to put his hand on you with no reason at all.
Talk to them.
You don't own your body.
No.
I have to just start the things, you know. Whether or not they like it, yes or no, I have to tell you the truth. And then, in our domestic affairs now, we use violence.
Yeah. Talk to them.
No. You have a little family dispute. And the first thing you draw for is your last.
That's not necessary.
And before you know it, you throw out their sword fight. One man kill another one.
Yeah.
We have seen many instances, many, of family members, even neighbors, arguing over things that if they were able to step back from the moment, they would say, but that's stupidness.
Exactly.
We have seen cases where neighbor put out the garbage, some dog went and pulled the garbage over to the neighbor, the other neighbor yard, two of them argue, knife draw, one dead. I don't know, Gwendolyn, I don't know what would have possessed that young man that day. I don't know.
John, no.
But what I do know is that the society in which we live in needs serious attention to this issue of the use of violence to resolve conflict. Now, when I come to speak to you, I don't come to speak to you as a preacher. And we could go through all the reasons. I don't come to speak to you as a professor, meaning to give you all the academic explanations. I come to you as your policymaker. You elect me to address these issues, even the issues that you don't agree with or what you don't understand sometimes. You put trust and confidence in your elected leaders to address the issue. 3 years ago, we started to look at the issue of violence in a serious way. We have established an anti-violence commission, which is being led by one of Jamaica's foremost academics on children development, Professor Samson. They will be giving me an interim report very soon as to some measures that the government will have to take to address this epidemic, this disease of violence in the society. Nevertheless, there are some actions which we have already started to take to treat with violence. Number one, we have laid in Parliament a new firearms bill, which has increased the penalty for the use, trading, and distribution and possession of firearms. Most of the murders in Jamaica take place with the use of firearms, with a gun. So we have to treat with that tool of violence, the gun. We are coming with a new bail act. Many of the perpetrators of violence come back out and are able, while they are being processed for a charge, they come back out and they commit crimes, and many of them end up murdering again. We have to treat with that. We are reviewing the Zones of Special Operations Act to improve it. It is working very well. It is bringing peace to many communities that were formerly conflict-torn. We are revising the Offences Against the Persons Act. Now that is the bill, the act that will deal with when you get into fight with somebody and you get beat up or you get abused. Those penalties and some new offences will have to be created. We are revising the Sexual Offences Act because we are seeing emerging new trends in sexual abuse, sexually motivated violence, including cyber issues that we have to treat with. And we are in the process of, in fact, very advanced in reviewing the Domestic Violence Act, which will give greater protection to vulnerable people in our society. We are also reviewing the Child Care and Protection Act, and in that act we will make an amendment to ban corporal punishment in Jamaica. When you put all of those together, what you will have is a stronger, more robust system of treating with violence in Jamaica. That is from the legislative part of things, that's from the law part of things. But we need to have now, in Jamaica, a process for us to come to grips with violence. When I say come to grips, here's what I'm talking about. Number one, when a violent act occurs, we can't just leave it up to the victim and the perpetrator to resolve the matter. Oftentimes, the violent acts will go to court. There may be some kind of mediation, but the victims are still hurting, and that hurt sometimes gets transformed into revenge. So the state has to be far more active than it is now in ensuring that we give support to the victims of murder, the victims of crimes, the victims of abuse. The second thing that we have to do is to have a system of early detection, early intervention, and early warning. What do I mean by that? In this instant case, the perpetrator came to the attention of law enforcement before this. There was no follow-up intervention to determine whether or not this person would commit an act in the future. But that is just how our system is. But we have to change it. So right now, we will have to develop a new way of identifying violent perpetrators in our society and getting them into programs much earlier. Because the truth is, when this young man who is accused of this act came to the attention of law enforcement before, even if a case was not brought before the court, that young man should have been given serious intervention, serious counseling, and follow-up to ensure that he's not harboring evil intent throughout his life. And there are many young people in Jamaica like that, who have experienced violence, who have used violence themselves, or they have been the victims directly of violence, and they don't know how to treat with it, other than to hold it in themselves, hold it in their hearts, until an event occurs or an opportunity presents themselves again, and then they end up becoming the perpetrators of violence on someone else. So aside from the legislation which we are doing, we are devising a new program and system of intervention to ensure that especially our young people are not bottling up the violence, waiting for it to explode sometime down the road to create this cycle of violence. So, friends, family, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to offer my condolences to the family. I went and I paid my condolences personally. I decided to sit through the entire proceeding, to listen to what all the speakers have said, to look at your faces and observe and hear your comments. A sense as to how the community is coming to grips. I think the funeral is important in putting closure to the issue. But I am not quite convinced that we have learned the lessons that we need to learn about violence. I'm not convinced. And I'm saying it here, all of you who are listening, that the government will act in a decisive way to change the structure of our legal system and to give greater attention. But ultimately, it comes down to our heart. What do we believe in our heart? Are we willing to forgive? Are we willing not to use violence? Are we willing to seek peace and not escalate simple situations into conflict? It depends on what we do. So as we celebrate our freedom, 113 years ago, what are we going to do with it? Are we going to use our freedom to do anything we choose? To kill our loved ones? To be violent in how we react and interact with each other? Or are we going to use our freedom to create a peaceful, loving, gentle, caring society that we all wish for Jamaica. Ladies and gentlemen, I love you. I care about you. I want to see the best for you. As we lay these 5 souls to rest, let us all commit to doing what we can to end violence in our home and in our community and in our country. God bless you, brother.
He's saying that basically, getting the man killed or sending a prison in full time now going to be a part of it because you can't fear the rather than the child. So because your child rude, you're not supposed to beat him. What are you going to do with it?
So, family members, you have a lot of your hand.
Basically, because if I say you can't fear the rather than the child, it's not. And what is it?
And you're going to be coming now.
What is it? And the only way you can take the only way you can punish him now. Either kill him or you say happen.
If you're the guy who takes the time to help a stranger in the rain, here's a place for people like you. If it's time now to go down,
The eulogy is coming on.
Seven-time champion.
I'll be on again.
if the shine is
Please wait for the eulogy.
Yes, sir.
is a place.
Endure on an almost daily basis in this country because of the violence that too many of us continue to embrace. This was a little different to what we're accustomed to because this particular incident, as we know, was as a result of a family member turning on his own flesh and blood. I want to express heartfelt condolences to the mother of Kimesha, Brendan McKnight, to the grandmothers who are here, Ethelyn Richards and Jennifer Smith, the father of the children, grandfathers of the children. This is a time when there's a lot of anger, a lot of frustration, a lot of confusion. We don't understand how this could happen in a rural community where people live good, to a family which is a loving family. It is not for us to say why, but we must continue our faith in God to give us the strength to continue the journey of life. We must all come together and provide love and comfort for those who are feeling the pain of this loss as they go through their bereavement. The community must support and show continuing love for those who have suffered this wicked loss. We are in a country which is too violent, where people are too quick to anger, and when they anger, they're too quick to resort to violence and down business. The consequences are. We must change our ways to Jamaica. We must control our anger. We must value life and respect each other and show each other love. If we continue along this path, we will never achieve the greatness that is our destiny as a nation. This is the single biggest issue holding us back, is how we treat each other, how we manage conflict. Parents, mothers, clergy, political representatives, other persons of influence. We have to find a way to to change the mindset of our people and our culture of embracing violence. We must become a culture that does not embrace violence, that rejects violence and the use of violence. Where love and reasoning and understanding becomes the way we settle the issues that we have. Perceived disrespect is never a ground for killing anybody. Nothing can go so. It just leaves a trail of destruction, of bitterness and unhappiness behind. We must do better as a nation. Prime Minister, you have my support on all measures to turn this country around to a better place. One Jamaica, one people. Unity is strength, and this is a common problem. This is not a problem that affects one political color or another. This is a problem that affects all of us deeply, and it will require us working together to solve it. But we must keep hope alive and believe in our great destiny, which is ours, and make the change that we want, be the change that we want to see, and help to make it happen. So people, I wish you all the best independence and emancipation in the coming week. And as we go into that week, let us keep in our hearts and minds the family that is grieving here, those who have suffered this terrible loss. And may God bless them and keep them and make them strong. All the best.
Thank you very much.
Obviously, you disappear left me. So I'll be able to juvenile like you saw the par. Yeah. Yeah, man.
Alright, so I'm putting right in that.
Yeah. No, none of them this set.
Yeah, look, you're the
I'm a yard, man.
Alright, so let's look more.
Yeah. The pastor guy down. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Save. Yeah, man. See it, young generation.
Yeah, man. See it.
Yeah.
That one.
Sad moment, but a good look.
Yeah, man. I'm not tell a man. Miss Switch and things same way, but
yeah.
If you go on with the faith, you see me? Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. One family people.
Same way.
Yeah, man. See that? Big brother.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Alright, start to talk about your presence here today. And why are you here?
Well, you know, the Maroon government was the first set of people who offered to bury Miss Gwen grandpa them, and we are ready to get bright lights for do it. But the government did come and take them back from me. In a sense, we were always supporting Miss Gwen, who helped sponsor the 9 nights, everything, you understand? But never take out a final take out a restriction against Baby Grange now.
Talk about that exchange. What happened? What happened there when you were while you were removed from the side?
All right. I was to also speak on the stage, but Babsy and Anja said them don't want me to come up there with them. So nothing wrong with that, you understand? And them even try to get police to come move me. So just to avoid the argument, just go over the other part, you understand? Okay. And you see, them gone left Miss Gwen, and the Emperor and the Maroon government is still here. The Gleaner is still here, the Observer is still here.
How you feel about that, LA?
How I feel about it?
Yeah.
Well, I don't feel no way about it, because as a leader, you know, you have to get ready for criticism, and you have to get ready for people that try to put it down, you understand? So, but I'm an Emperor, so if you can walk with me, come on, I forgot on the graveside now. Alright, come in, my picnic. Yeah.
Why are you here, Mr. Lewis, today?
Well, you know, I'm a part of the family proceedings, yes, and I remember the Maroon government, we were the first person who came to bury the children them, and we got the Bright Light Funeral Parlor to do it. then the government said they want to do it. So Mr. Gwen give them the first preference. You understand? But I was rudely interrupted by Babsy Grange once again when Babsy Grange asked people to take me from off the podium, because I remember me the book forgive a speech. You understand? I just say everybody gone, I'm still here with the family. So big up Nationwide, you understand? And it's one of the #1 media outlet in the world, Nationwide. So Maroon government not necessarily make sense. And I'm disappointed in Babsy Grange. It was a very unprofessional affair. I big up Juliet HOLNESS, you understand? I big up Manayard Ardley Shaw, and big up Pernell Charles, you understand? I love Mr. Pernell, I love Ardley Shaw, so I'm going to watch your face, but I still feel a bit disrespect. So I'm going to take out a restriction order against Babsy Grange first thing coming this week. Maroon government. Why? Yeah, love you though. Love you too, moment. Yeah, you're so good? Yeah. Come tell me, man. Yeah, but I'm here in my power, man. Yeah, now we can ride on my ride, man. Alright. Yeah. Yeah. 1-7. Alright, so big up the people and big up Miss Gwen. And once again, I was rudely interrupted by Babsy Grange. So coming early, I'm going to take out a last week against Babsy Grange once and all, a restriction order. You understand? Because, big up to the police, big up police, them safe. Big up the police, them. You understand? So big up IRFM, and you know, it's the #1 roots reggae station. Yes, we're here at the funeral, and it's a very wicked loss, you understand? And the whole Jamaica, the whole world, the whole Maroon government will mourn the loss of Miss Gwen and the whole family. We never prepare for this day. We never think so we would live to see this day. You understand? So, we're there people, and we're going down to the burial site now, you understand? And once again, we're disappointed with the Babsy Grange, right?
No.
Disappointed with her. All right, careful. Yeah. Yeah. All right.